Right, guys, welcome back. Traversal ENT in the building, guys. Back with another one. This is my first video since the Canelo Saunders fight. I'm not sure. I don't think I've recorded one since then, so I've been out for a minute. But here we is, right? So I just wanted to talk about a little subject, right? First and foremost, shout out to Showbizz the Adult, because I watched one of his recent videos that is entitled, and I recommend people go watch it. The Showbiz Sounds Off, Stop Crying About Canelo. I just finished watching that video from him, and I thought it was a great video. It brings about a really good point I want to touch on, right? First and foremost, let me say this. The whole undefeated thing in boxing is the most toxic thing that has happened to the sport, in my personal opinion, right? This whole idea that fighters have got to be undefeated is the most toxic thing that has happened in boxing, in my opinion. Why? Because it's got fighters delaying fights. It's got fighters potentially avoiding fights. It's got fighters second guessing whether they should get involved in a certain fight. Right? So fighters are being a lot more risk averse because of the fact that they know or they think or assume that if I lose my O and I become defeated, I'm not going to be as marketable. I'm not going to make as much money. I'm not going to X, Y, Z. The truth is, this is a fat lie. That's the truth. It's a big fat lie. That's not true. You losing doesn't mean that you are no longer marketable or that you can no longer make the same amount of pay. AJ lost to Andy Ruiz. Is AJ not making the most money in his next fight? And he's not the only person I could give you as that example. I could give you loads of fighters in that same situation, right? This whole undefeated mindset that's Floyd introduced into the sport is one of the most toxic things that has happened to boxing. It's got fighters acting like girls. Fighters are wearing skirts because of it. And to be honest with you, from a guy looking in, watching the sport that I love, I can't stand seeing stuff like that. Do you know what happens? Your fighter doesn't get busy enough. Now, this is why I salute and I shout out Showbiz and I shout out Canelo Alvarez, because he is a great champion. I couldn't care less what anyone thinks. This is why I said, in my opinion, Canelo and AJ combined are the face of boxing. I don't just give it to Joshua. I do put Canelo up there as well, 50-50. Right? One might have more percentage than another, fine, whatever. But Canelo is definitely up there. Why? Because this guy, he's picking up belts, he's fighting in different weight classes, and he is busy. That's the magic word, busy. Right? During the pandemic, and understand that the pandemic is still around, that we're not over the pandemic yet. Your state, your city might be, but in the world theater, it's still around the pandemic, right? So during this pandemic, I don't believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, one fighter might slip through the crack, and I can't remember who that is. But off the top of my head, I do not believe that there is a fighter who is of high caliber, who has been busier than Saul Canelo Alvarez since the start of the pandemic. I don't think there is one fighter that you could put there. Canelo, since the start of the pandemic, has had 3 fights up to date. 3 fights. You're not going to find another champion in any other weight class who's got 3 fights up to date during the pandemic. You're not going to find it. Many of them got one fight. Some who are actively, standardly busy might have 2. But many of them got 1 fight. Canelo's got 3 fights. He is active. He is busy. He's taking on fights that we want to see him in. The last fight he had, look at the turnout. So I understand and I salute Showbiz for what he said. I 50, not even 50, I 100% co-sign everything he said on that video. 100%. This whole undefeated mindset is toxic in the sport. Fighters just ain't busy. Look at the welterweight division. One of the most, in my opinion, very lucrative, extremely entertaining division. Fighters are so dormant. It's a joke. These fighters don't get in the ring. Mate, you're wasting your years. Don't tell me COVID. Look, Dillian White, 2 fights. Okay, if you got 2 fights, I give, that's fair play. If you got 1 fight, you need to do a lot more. Dillian White, 2 fights. I believe. David Chisora, 2 fights. Busy fighters, right? I know they're not welterweights, but look, they're busy. They stay active. Derek, he loses a lot of his fights, I suppose, that you want to see him win or whatever. But at least the guy's active. Dillian lost to Povetkin. He's active. He wanted that rematch as soon as possible. Povetkin delayed him with everything he delayed him with. Canelo active. Before you know it, Canelo will be out in the ring. He'll be in the ring again. I don't doubt Canelo's going to go back in the ring by the end of the year. That'll make him 4 times active during the pandemic. That's stellar. That is actually stellar. Today, fighters are fighting once every God knows when. I don't know what is it. They're enjoying their paycheck too much? I don't know what it is. But back to the welterweight division. Okay, Spence had his accident. I can't remember exactly the dates of Spence's accident, right? My internet is a bit weird at the moment, so I can't pull out statistics for you. But he's had his accident. But since he's had that, he's had the fight with Sean Porter. Then he had a Danny Garcia fight, I believe. And I don't even know if that was before the COVID or before the pandemic or not. I don't know if that fight happened before March 2020. I don't remember. Crawford, his last fight was Kell Brook. When was that? Since then, inactive. Keith Thurman, I ain't heard of the guy in the ring since he fought Pacquiao. And I really like the welterweight division, by the way. Even fighters like Ryan Garcia, right? Different weight class, smaller weight class, somewhat active, but he ain't got this kind of fight. He hasn't been in the ring as much as Canelo has. No, he hasn't. He could have been, probably, but he hasn't. That's the point I'm trying to make. Now, let me say one last thing before I close up, because what Floyd did with this whole undefeated thing here, let me just put that to bed, because a lot of people get it confused. You get it twisted. The only reason why a fighter, you really and truly, is undefeated, yeah, it's not because he is the best, yeah? That's nonsense, because the best must learn to become the best. He must develop into becoming the best. Along the way, he will take losses, because you become better in some cases, through your failures in some cases. You need to learn to become better. Canelo became better after the Floyd defeat. He understood, and after close fights with guys like Lara and guys that caused him problems, he understood, I have to improve on my skills. I have to know how to deal with this type of opponent and that type of opponent. That can only come with you getting in the ring, right? He had to take that loss to be able to get better like that. Because prior to that, he probably thought he was already the full pack. He probably thought he was, the full package. The completed article. But he weren't. It took for the loss and tough fights for him to realize, I need to get to that next level. Now, he's in what I call ultra instinct. The guy's on the level of his own. Very hard to beat. Right? Fighters will take L's if they are active. So these fighters that you see, they've got an O, they've never lost. It's only because they haven't been in there with top quality competition. They have not faced their nemesis yet. That's why they're holding on to their O's. Because when these fighters get in there with a guy that is their equal rival, the O won't remain, all right? The O will not remain. And if undefeated guys fight undefeated guys, someone's going to get a defeat. So the question then becomes, okay, you got an O. How many undefeated guys have you fought? Oh, not a lot. Well, that's why you're holding on to your O, isn't it? You're fighting guys who, number one, you ain't fought an undefeated person who's going to come in there to really beat you, number one. And number two, have you fought your main nemesis? Have you? Have you fought your main nemesis? Probably not. Let's look at, for example, Jamal Charlo. Yeah, the fighter that I call the grass-eating lion. That's what I call him, because that's exactly what he is at the moment. A grass-eating lion. Jamal Charlo. I'm not talking about Jamel, the one that's about to become undisputed, yeah? The unified champion, not him. That's a real lion right there. His brother, the grass-eating lion, and if you don't know why I call him that, I got a video literally entitled that. Go and watch it. He's got an O, but this guy's not faced his nemesis. Has this guy even fought an undefeated? He hasn't fought, I don't believe, I could be wrong, but I don't believe he's fought an undefeated fighter. And he definitely has not fought his nemesis. Who is who? Who is that nemesis for that guy? He should be getting in the ring with Benavidez. David Benavidez. That's your nemesis. He didn't get in the ring with that person. Another nemesis he had was Daniel Jacobs. Didn't get in the ring with that person. But he's calling that Canelo Alvarez. And then you wonder, he's undefeated. I'm not impressed by that undefeated. Because if you fought the guys you're supposed to fight, maybe you wouldn't be undefeated. And if you fought them and you won both of those fights, whatever, and you still are undefeated, congratulations to you. But the point is, stop making it such an important thing. The fact that fighters are undefeated. It's ridiculous. The fighter that beat Jarrett Hurd, what's his name? Who got stopped by Jason Rosario. His name's gone out my head. The one that Jamal Charlo uppercutted. Julian Williams, right? When Julian Williams took a defeat, he was crushed, he was heartbroken, right? His O disappeared, okay? Then he fell under depression. Then he comes back and he beats Jarrett Hurd in a fight and he captures the title, I believe. Yeah, he did. He captured the title. He ended up losing that title to Jason Rosario, who Jamel Charlo beat. But Julian Williams, when he recaptured the title, he got his glory back. And then he said in the post-fight interview that people pay too much attention to this whole undefeated thing. It's hype. It doesn't mean because you take a loss, you're done and dusted. How can you be done and dusted when you're a young fighter and you're taking a loss? How are you done and dusted? It's different if you're Derek Chisora's age. It's different. If you take a pure punishment, you've lost so many fights, you're at the last stage or the end of your career and you lose another meaningful fight, that's a different situation. Young fighters taking L's means nothing. Keith Thurman's lost to Pacquiao. It doesn't mean anything. If he was to come back and fight as Spence, anybody would watch that fight. If Thurman took on a Crawford, everyone would watch that fight. You think they'd be thinking, oh, because he lost to Pacquiao, we don't want to see him no more. He's irrelevant now. We ain't going to pay. Don't be stupid, guys, all right? So this whole thing about I can't stand it. I think it's so toxic to boxing, this whole business. It's the stupidest thing I ever heard. I salute Showbiz the Adult on that video there, co-signing that 100%. Yeah? If you're undefeated fighters, I'm not interested. Get in the ring with your nemesis, get in the ring with someone you're supposed to get in the ring with, then let's see if you're undefeated, yeah? Otherwise, to me, I don't really want to be hearing all of that. Floyd Money Mayweather, undefeated, yes, but Floyd avoided certain fighters. You have to understand that he didn't fight everybody he was supposed to fight when he was supposed to fight them. In many cases, he waited. So these people were slightly, they weren't quite what they used to be. Then he took on the fight. Or he waited and he just simply avoided these people. I could give you names, but it's not about a Floyd video here. Anyway, let me leave it at that because I'm not riding with this whole undefeated nonsense. Yeah? Shout out to Canelo, yeah? Staying busy. Fighters, stay busy. Stay relevant. Stay busy. Controversial ENT signing out, guys. I'll be back with some more.